Fortunately, some of our MAGA Republican friends in Congress are continuing to try to undo all the progress we've already made in the first 2.5 years. This ain't your father's Republican Party. They're back at it again.
As President Biden in California tapping tech and climate donors for campaign cash while ripping into the GOP. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis also fundraising in the Golden State, where he's been egging on Governor Gavin Newsom to make his political plans clear and jump into the race. Here to react, our panel of California voters, San Francisco resident Tom Wong and LA resident Danna Rosenthal. Glad to have you both on the program this morning. Danna, I'd love to start with you. You know, we do the story often on the Fox News channel on this program about the state of California, whether or not that comes to crime, homelessness, or many of the issues plaguing that state. You, I think, are a self-described moderate Democrat. What's your assessment of your state and its leadership?
That's a very interesting question. Yes, I am a moderate Democrat. I used to be a full-on Democrat, but under Newsom's leadership, I've definitely shifted. I definitely have to say that he has done a very subpar job leading this beautiful state. Homelessness, as you know, is disastrous. In fact, he now has come out and said, oh yeah, homelessness himself, he said, is a disaster. Well, for the past 4 years, he's been the governor, but he's now blaming the Republicans. I don't know what he was thinking, because he was the governor during this time. So I don't know why he's blaming the Republicans when he was in charge. And then, you know, he locked down the state during COVID. We were the state with the longest restrictions, right? Severe. And we had, you know, the same outcomes as every other state that, you know, we had the infections. We didn't fare any better. And he ruined education for kids in California, right. And he's in the pockets of the teachers' unions. So I think he's a disaster as a governor. And, you know, he is, you know, I think, you know, as DeSantis says, pussyfooting around. And I would hate to see him in the White House. Let me bring Tom in. Danna, to that point, he might be running for president. He seems to be running some kind of shadow campaign for president. Before we turn to national politics, Tom, let me just, because what we're talking about here is a little experiment in democracy when it comes to California, in governance. And I'm just curious, I think many people share the assessment that Danna just articulated when it comes to California. But then there's the obvious question. Why do people like Gavin Newsom and the same ideology and the same policies keep getting reelected in California?
Well, people keep on reelecting Gavin Newsom. When I surveyed some Democrats and moderates, and even some Asians who normally voted for Democrats, is that they know that Gavin Newsom is a bad person, but they don't know who the other candidates are. They might get somebody that's worse, they might get somebody that's better, but they want more certainty. They want to know that the candidate, where the candidate stands, where our leader stands, and how to move forward with education, with crime, with traditional family values. So that is, people have not made it clear. Candidates have not made it clear. Our leaders have not made it clear about where they stand in these issues. And that makes it very confusing for the voters and for people who are conservative. We want a leader that can lead and have a very clear direction. That's what we want as conservatives.
With California spiraling the drain and 300-something odd thousand people moving out of the state, you would think people would check the box of anything other than Gavin Newsom. You'd think they would check other. But it says something that he keeps getting reelected. And it probably gives him hope that he has a chance for president of the United States. So let's move to national politics then. I'd love to ask you both. Danna, we'll come back to you. Let's talk about how your lesson in California has informed your choice on who you would support for president. Would you support similar policies through the Biden administration on his reelection for president? Or have you learned from this experiment in your estimation, like, I don't know, I might need to look in a different way when it comes to president?
So I'm currently undecided. I'll say this, I definitely do not want Trump. Absolutely not.
And why is that?
I did vote for Biden the last election, but I'm not saying that I'm voting for him this time around. As a woman, it's very important for me to have access to abortion. So, the fact that, as we know, a lot of the states, the red states, are restricting access to abortion. So I need to know that the candidate, whoever it is pro-choice.
But if it's a state issue, I'm just curious, are you worried about a federal?
Kind of a conflict.
Really quick, Danna, are you worried about a federal ban on abortion? Or because if it's a state issue, the way that it is now, and you live in California, why does that inform who you choose for president?
Well, it's a moral issue. I don't want the president of the United States to, think that they have the right to say what a woman does with their body. So even if it is a state issue, I don't like a president saying, oh, yeah, a woman has, the president of the United States can say, oh, yeah, we can say what a woman does to their body.
It's just, and I understand that. I understand that, Danna.
I am currently undecided, but I definitely do not want Trump.
I understand that. I understand your passion on that subject. It is interesting to me that as it stands right now, that wouldn't necessarily directly affect your life if it's a state issue, where these issues like homelessness and crime are directly affecting your life in California. But it's so important passionately to you that it overrides those issues that do and have directly affected your life in California. Really quickly, I'm sorry.
No,
I really got to get Tom in here real quick.
Homelessness and the economy, and for me personally, education has been a very big issue for me. I've been advocating for education and kids since the pandemic.
Right.
So, those are very big issues for me.
I understand. Let me get Tom in real quick, Dan, before I run out of time.
Who puts kids first, especially for education. And obviously homelessness and the economy are also very big issues for me. But morally, I want a president who, believes that a woman has the right to choose.
All right, and Tom, where do you stand on national politics and the lessons out of California?
National politics, whatever California is doing, you don't want the rest of the nation to do. California has some of the most progressive policies, the failed policies. We are living in hell here. We are one of the most beautiful states, but we are run so poorly that we have homeless issues. We have over taxation of the people. Businesses are leaving by the thousands. Families are leaving by the thousands. Mm-hmm. I want a president like Donald Trump. I supported him. I voted for him twice. I'll vote for him again. He is going to make America great, and he has policies. Some people might not like him personally, but it does not mean that he cannot do the job. He's able to make peace with Korea. He could make peace with China and Russia and bring our economy back and bring us back on the world. Bring us back, because right now we are in a very bad place with the rest of the world. We are losing our grip as a superpower, as being on top. So we need somebody who can lead.
I appreciate you both getting up very early there in California and having this discussion with us this morning on the state of California, and it's how it informs your choice for president of the United States. Danna, Tom, thank you so much.